I mean, the problem is to say anything doesn't really feel true. You know, to say about how I experience life now and how. I mean, there is just life. There's just this. You know, there's just sounds happening, feelings happening, thoughts appearing, and then what appears in life is the story about life, the story about how I experience life. So
do you get a sense of someone watching that, watching the thoughts, watching the feelings, watching the sensations? Do you get a sense that there's something watching, observing that? Yeah.
But whatever it is that's watching life, what that is, it's not separate from life. It's inseparable from life. So then I can't even say in the end it's watching life.
Yeah.
That's why it becomes very difficult to talk about.
So it's not like behind a screen.
It's not behind. No, it's not that I'm standing back from life, watching life, because that's detachment. That's someone detached from life. That's someone separate from life. But yeah, of course, there is the sense of this kind of awareness, this consciousness, whatever you want to call it, because it's not in it anyway, of some kind of space in which life is happening. But at the same time, that space is inseparable from everything that's happening. So it's you could say it's both watching the movie and it's fully participating in the movie.
Yeah.
You know, so it's...
Yeah, I remember you saying that before, that it's like someone's watching a movie in the movie theatre and they're also the main character in the movie at the same time.
Yeah, it's both, and that's why thought, thought cannot comprehend that, how it could be at the same time watching the movie and being totally immersed in the movie. I mean, a lot of people have, awakening experiences, and then afterwards they might experience themselves as maybe watching the movie, but then they start to feel quite detached from the movie. It's like they're sitting back from the movie, watching the movie,
and they believe
that's still separation.
Absolutely, and they believe that's their aim, is to permanently be the watcher observer as life unfolds.
Yeah, they want to stay in the absolute, stay in the in the space behind the world, but it's a movement away from the world. You see, it still requires the world. I mean, I spent years trying to. I really wanted to stay in that place, of that kind of detached place, stay in awareness, or stay in the ocean. Move away from the waves, because the waves aren't really real. The waves are the illusion, and I wanted to live in the ocean permanently. But that still requires a separation. It still requires an awareness separate from content. It still requires an ocean separate from the waves.
So in a way, you're everything. And what I mean by that is there isn't anything that you're not. And I think what happens is, there's a kind of, in my experience, there's a moving, trying to move somewhere. And when we talk now, I think, but actually, as you talked about it then, it's that we're everything. We're what's observed, what's what are we not? And if it feels like there's a identity or a person here experiencing that, then that can't be denied either, can it?
No, because that's just the story appearing. So there's everything, with no way of knowing what everything is. There's all of this, and before the story there's no way of knowing what this is, and then thought comes in and says, who am I? Okay, I'm a person sitting on a chair talking to another person. So that's the story.
Yes.
That story doesn't even begin to capture what's actually going on, but you have no way of knowing what's going on.
Yes.
But so it's not about rejecting the story, because then again, some people think, okay, now I need to get rid of the story. I need to get rid of the experience. I need to go beyond experience.
Yes.
I need to go beyond the story. I need to go beyond mind. But wherever you hear the word beyond, that's mind. So mind creates the idea of beyond mind, and then starts to seek for beyond mind. Mind creates the idea of beyond the story creates the story beyond the story.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's no beyond. There's no beyond.
Yeah. So what's interesting about that sometimes when we talk, I have the experience that, I understand, and then I remind myself that no, I don't understand. But what you're talking about is that mind creates the story of Mike understands, and then it's only temporary.
Yeah, every story is temporary. I mean, a story just comes and goes, So the story Mike understands, it's like a cloud floating through, we try so hard. It's like we want to have a fixed story about ourselves.
Well, I keep coming back to a reference point because it's easy to say, oh, there's nobody here to understand, and there's nothing to understand. But there's a reference point here of a person who is trying to understand something to understand, and I can't deny that. And I also get that there isn't anybody here, and there isn't anything to understand.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no one here separate. There's no one here separate from life.
Yeah.
There's no entity here separate from life, and life itself cannot be understood. But what might appear in life is a story about someone trying to understand, and what will also appear is the experience of not understanding. As long as you're trying to understand, you'll experience not understanding.
And that's what gets played out, isn't it? Because I can't imagine the experience of no one experiencing no one here and nothing to understand. I can't imagine that experience.
Of course you can't. You can't, because that's not an experience.
Yeah.
You can't experience no one.
Yeah. So you wouldn't say there's nobody there not understanding. It all gets a bit heady, doesn't it?
It's all words, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's never anyone here. There never has been anyone here. In other words, there's never been anyone here separate from life. So the story of someone separate from life, in other words, the story of Jeff, it was only ever here as a story. It was always a story of the separate entity.
And that's it, isn't it? Because I'm just thinking, what's the difference between me and you, or people that come to your talks and you? And it seems to me that you somehow manage to not take a position, and it seems that other people are taking their perspective or position may change, but there's a shifting of position or perspective from most people, but it seems that somehow you avoid doing that. Would you say that's